Hey, happy hump day. Welcome back to Crimson Dynasty. I've been losing my voice a little bit, so I'm going to try to talk a little lower. But I definitely want to welcome everyone who's new here. My name is Sishi, and I'm your host. And we are affiliated with the Bama Standard Network. We're one of the sister shows here. So we're lucky to have you, and we really appreciate you being here. Excuse me. And I definitely wanted to shout out our sponsor before we get started, Workspace Solutions. So if your business needs a digital presence or a full-fledged marketing team at an affordable price, be sure to contact them. And I definitely have to give a shout out to our co-hosts. So we have Dan James IV, who is the one, the only, the lead recruiting analyst for the Final Whistle every Tuesday night here. And then also Hannah Stevens. So she's been awesome as well. And she's been featured on a few football related podcasts and shows. And she has a show on ESPN radio as well in Huntsville, Alabama. So she's been doing her thing. But we definitely want to welcome everyone. We have a hot show tonight. We have the one, the only, the legend himself, the guest for tonight, Wesley Britt. Now, before we get started, though, we want to remind you to hit that like and subscribe button and be sure to turn on the notifications. So hit the bell so you don't miss any videos. Now, we want to go ahead and just jump right in. So I want to welcome you, Wesley. I know a lot of us, we remember you. You played for Alabama during that 2001-2004 period as the offensive tackle. You won so many awards. I believe you won the Jacobs Award blocking trophy as the SEC's top O lineman in 2004. You won a few different awards. I'm not gonna name all of them because we'll be here all night. But you won a lot of awards, and it's so impressive to see what you did at Alabama. I know that period during 2001 and 2004. It was kind of shaky in terms of all the coaching changes. So we'll get into that. But you also got drafted to the San Diego Chargers in 2005. And then you went on to play for the New England Patriots as well in 2009. So shout out to you for that. That's going to be a part of our conversation as well in terms of the NFL and just how the guys are progressing from college to the NFL. But another thing to mention is that you went on to serve as the economic development representative for Alabama Power, and you're now living in Montgomery, Alabama with your family. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so lucky to have you here tonight. And I'm glad that we were able to get you and just lock you in because sometimes, we know a lot of the guests tend to be pretty busy and we just, we want to make sure that we can have you here at least for a solid 30 minutes, if not longer. So we'll be sure to make use of your time. But thank you for joining us tonight. And I wanted to just get it started off. We had some questions that we wanted to ask, but I just wanted to ask, are there any I like to go on my rants about Auburn because they like to show up in our live chat. So everyone who's here, be sure to go ahead and kick off that live chat, get it started. If you see any, haters or whatever, be sure to just, show them some love tonight because I'm sure Wesley is going to talk about some notable games when we play Auburn. So I wanted to ask you about that first. So are there any games that you remember during your time in Alabama, specifically when we played Auburn, that stood out to you, whether it was at home or away?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me and congratulations on the show. I'm a huge fan. This is awesome. This is awesome. And it's a real honor to be on it. Yeah. So thank you for having me. And what a cast you got, what a team you got here with Dan and Hannah too. This all stars, and of course in the back room you can't forget about Justin. He's back there, the wizard behind the curtain. So that's fantastic. But as far as Auburn, the first thing that pops in my mind is my freshman year. We were starting three offensive linemen that were starting were freshmen. Me, Justin Smiley, and Evan Mathis.
Mm-hmm.
They said the Green Giants they didn't think we went into Auburn thinking everybody said that we didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
That we didn't have a chance, that we were outmatched, two All-American defensive linemen that they had at the time, and everybody said we were just going to get run over. And we went out there and just ran the ball down their throats. This old school, like bring the pain, where you had their defensive lineman literally throwing up on the field, which was kind of gross, but at the time I loved it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Justin, we're gonna have to clip that. We're gonna have to clip that one. Yeah.
And we did end up winning 31-0. Had Tyler Watts and Andrew Zhao in the back at quarterback. Andrew threw an 80, like a think it was like a 40-yard touchdown pass. Dave McCadley on his on a third and long.
I remember it. I was in the scene.
Yeah, 31-7 was the final. That's definitely my best memory of playing. But I'm also grateful, because I was coming out in high school. I narrowed my choices down between Alabama, Florida, and Auburn, and going through that process. And I actually, I hate to admit this, and I'm embarrassed by it, but I grew up an Auburn fan. And
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to go.
I know, right? Hey, I found the light. I found the light. And then second week of my senior year, I get a call from the offensive line coach and said, "Wes, I'm gonna be honest with you. You're not ever going to be good enough to play offensive line in the SEC, and I don't think you'll ever be able to play at Auburn. We offered you, if you commit, we'll take you, but you won't play." And feeling that love, I thought, man, this is not the place for me. And of course I thanked him for the opportunity and said, well, but we'll bring our services elsewhere. And but that kind of stuff, it happens to all of us. And whatever our walk of life is, we have our pits and our valleys that really define who we are. And that was the thing that really was that pit in my stomach doing those 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning workouts, the fourth quarter drills. When you didn't think you could make when you couldn't move one more step, you found a way to do one more play always. And this thing's burning in your gut. It happened for a reason. The next time I saw that offensive line coach was at the Atlanta Quarterback Club, and he was presenting the Shug Jordan Award for the best offensive lineman in the ACC and the SEC. And I'd be lying if I didn't get a little bit too much joy out of winning that award. But he was humble about it. But everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And thank you for sharing this story regarding the Auburn game. So unfortunately, some of them aren't in here they're not here yet, but hopefully we can kind of go back to that and, kind of top it off with that. I think that's awesome. I'm going to kick it over to Hannah. Any questions that you had for Wesley?
Yeah, so Wesley, obviously, when you got offered your scholarship in 2000, I believe Mike DuBose was the coach then. So I guess I have a twofold question. You obviously endured your first coaching change between Mike DuBose and Dennis Franchione. So talk about that. The guy who recruited you is no longer there. Mm-hmm. But you also had 3 head coaches in your time in Alabama. So my first question is 4, correct? Yes. My first question is this. What was that impact like, no longer having the guy who recruited you, but also with all those changes, what is the mental and emotional toll it takes on a player? And if the transfer portal was a thing then, would you have left, or obviously you're glad you stuck it out, but, take us through that experience as a player who lost their recruiter and also had coaching changes during his career.
Man, that's a lot to unpack. To have 4 head coaches, because we're going in a time. My senior year in high school, Alabama won the SEC championship. Mm-hmm. In my freshman year, we're going in number 2 in the country preseason. Ended up going 3-8, and just have some turmoil. So we're expecting. One of the reasons I look, that I like to joke. This isn't the reason when it came down to it, but I figured Steve Spurrier would leave to go to the NFL at Florida, and I only wanted to play for 1 head coach when I was in school. So I came to Alabama and played for 4. But right. And a couple of years of probation and 3 presidents too at the university. Yeah. But I wouldn't change it for the world. To be able to drape that crimson jersey on my shoulders, to put that on my shoulder pads, to be on the same field that Derek Thomas, Cornelius Bennett, Joe Namath, so many greats. I mean, it's endless. The names that you can come up, the impact, and for me to be able to put my family in that same conversation, not the same conversation at that level, but in Alabama football, to be able to do that is just incredible. Just for a poor country boy growing up in Coleman County, I mean, it's pretty remarkable what you can do and achieve through sports. So I'm extremely blessed. But when DuBose, because Dabo Swinney recruited me, he was the man I called to commit to. He actually, when Auburn got soft on me, some of the Alabama folks did too, and early in the senior year. But Dabo, he stood up for me, and I didn't even know to the extent on it till Neil Callaway told me about it later and asked Dabo about it. Dabo never said a word. but he said Dabo went to the mat for me. And that's something I'll never forget, that I'll always be indebted to him for taking a chance. And at that time, you got to think Dabo was young. He was like 28. And for him to go to the mat, Mike Dubose was a tough defensive guy. Neil Callaway, just as grizzly as you're going to find anybody. Just an old school offensive line coach, always had a half can of Copenhagen in his mouth, and the other half is probably on your helmet from him yelling at you, and in your face. But for him to do that for me, meant, that still means the world to me. But that was it was a interesting period, but I learned so much looking back at it, the different leadership styles, to be able to play for 4 head coaches, to go through the turmoil, and actually the 2 years of probation when when Mike Price came. So we had Dubose, Franchione for 2 years, Mike Price
30 minutes
second.
And apparently he didn't realize it was frowned upon to use the university credit card on some inappropriate vices. but and so when he was out, and then Shula. But when Price was fired, we were on probation as well. So that did for the arcane NCAA rules at that time, that did open up a window where we could have transferred without penalty.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost nobody, not one player. And we came together. We came together, had a team meeting when we didn't have a coach. Me, Justin Smiley, Brody, Shad Williams, this Todd Bates, got everybody together, and we talked, and we decided right then and there we were going to be the start of the next generation of greatness at Alabama. That we were going to help turn this tide. That we were part of something special, and we weren't going anywhere. This is who we made a commitment to the university. And to that legacy, the tradition, the Crimson Standard, and we weren't going anywhere, and we didn't. That's something I look back on, and it's just really especially in today's world, just amazed by, because there were some talks, and of course, when people start talking about things and people start calling, you're going to have to think, you're going to have to at least, like, the thought's going to be there, but but and everything, it wasn't a choice.
Yeah. I remember one thing that Coach Fran said. You remember his motto for that season was "Hold the rope."
Hold the rope.
Hold the rope. And then what did he do?
He just he didn't just let go of that rope. He threw it at us.
Threw it.
Yeah,
that was crazy, man. I remember that. But y'all guys stuck it out, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But it's but we're blessed to be able to do that. I mean, just to be able to play at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and at the time in front of 85,000 fans. Now it's over 100, but it was incredible to go down to Legion Field and play. It was remarkable. It was remarkable. And it's given me so much more opportunities that I would have never had but for the opportunity to play football at Alabama. It opens up doors. You got to prepare and do something when you get inside that door. But at least that knock and somebody answering, it definitely helps with that.
Right.
Agreed. I like that answer. I'll kick it over to you, Dan. Anything from your side?
Yeah, so, I'm gonna get to, I know you're strapped for time, but I'm gonna get right to it, man.
I'm good.
Give us the craziest Chris James story.
Chris James. Oh man, he just a good dude, good locker room guy. That you always love being around. It always uplifts. Always has a joke. I think the funniest thing is our freshman year. We're in Rose Towers, the dorm, and the campus has changed so much in the last 20 years. Every building I went to and lived in, it's not even there anymore. It's
legit bomb shelter.
Crazy.
Right, exactly. So Rose is gone. We're in Rose Towers, and it was a co-ed 13-story building where it was just students. It wasn't somewhere like Bryant Hall where you had coaches watching or coaches involved. You were just there as a student. Back during when the rules were at that time, kind of an overcorrection from the Bryant days. But they and we're up there, and it's like a Friday night. We don't have anything going on, and next thing you know, I see Chris James, we get out of the elevator and he has like 2 cases of beer on his shoulders. And we turn around, open that door opens. Coach Rousey sitting right there, the linebackers coach at the same time. CJ, Chris, come on, let's go. Let's go. He made us run out on the lawn of Rose Towers. It was one of the hardest workouts I've ever had to do, and we didn't have shoes on. But that was, but Chris is laughing the whole time. It was a great story talking about the rest of the career. Just
man, yeah. Yes, I remember I stayed a few nights there at Rose House with Chris, and yeah.
Yeah, Chris is a character. So then I want to kind of piggyback to something that you were saying regarding the coaching changes that you experienced when you were at Alabama. And you mentioned that you and the rest of the team, y'all decided like, we're not going anywhere. You could have left if you wanted to. And so I want to ask, so we see how things are going with the transfer portal right now. And I know a lot of the former players, they kind of feel some type of way about that. And not even just that, but the NIL as well. Mm-hmm. I want to get your perspective on how do you feel about the transfer portal as is? And then are there any changes that you think the NCAA should consider making going forward?
There's a lot of change. Right now it's a mess. Mm. It's just a mess. With the transfer portal, I'm not a fan, but I do believe it's an overcorrection because the NCAA messed it up so bad. Where they wouldn't let people that had great reasons to transfer, and they would not allow them to transfer. Their careers were just ended. My father-in-law was a victim of that with NCAA, where he was at West Alabama, Livingston at the time, and then had to move back home to Detroit to start working at his father's business. When father got hurt, he was a punter, and he transferred to Detroit. And he didn't get to play the rest of his career. He actually started a lawsuit that made it so you only had to sit out 1 year after that time. And then you had people from there on out that they would just say no for no reason. People who were not playing, just stacking up players at every school. And it was absolutely ridiculous. So I think the portal is a correction. Something had to be fixed. Sure. And so it's an overcorrection. What I don't like in NIL, this is America. Like how can any organizations tell you that you can't make money off of your name, image, and likeness and the work product that you've done?
Exactly.
That's just it's absurd. It's absurd. But I do think that we've got to get some type of contract type basis so that you don't, where there's clawbacks, where I don't know if it's an employment type, because that gets real hairy. Yeah. I don't think there's any good solution, but I think it's some type of employee arrangement where you get paid, where there is a payment, but if you leave at some period of time, there's clawbacks for that NIL money, and to have it more formalized, I think it would be better for the players too. Where if you had some type of clearinghouse that was managed that the universities helped with to make sure the players were safeguarded. Now, ultimately, I think people say that they want to get agents out. I think that any employee relationship, the employee needs somebody looking out for them, because ultimately, if you're working for an organization, you're looking out for that organization. It don't matter in our careers that we're in now, or coaching staff for the universities. They're looking out for themselves and their in their organization.
Exactly.
That's human nature.
Yeah.
To suggest otherwise, I think is malpractice.
Yep.
And I think it's just the day and age. When you hear Lane Kiffin complaining about transfer portal, and like, are you kidding me? You invented the transfer portal. You left every college that you've been to in every place for an extra dime. Right. For an extra dime. And you don't come out complaining about the transfer portal,
right?
That's just that doesn't pass the smell test in my opinion. But I think we've got to make sure the players, the student athletes who are on the field, that they're compensated. They're compensated for revenue that they're bringing in somehow, some way. I don't know what that looks like, because once you start doing that, and you could dissect this for hours, but then there's going to be myriad of lawsuits that could bankrupt any, especially the private institutions. Think, you may have some type of protections being a public university, but for workman's comp type claims going backdated, I've got friends that are still suffering from elements who did not play in the NFL. The NFL, you'd have workman's comp to provide for that, but people who are still in really bad financial positions because they're having to pay for surgeries to fix things that happen in college.
Yeah.
All that would be, I don't know how they could do it where all that wouldn't be back on the table. And would it be wrong for that to be back on the table? But of course, when you start bringing in trial lawyers, they'll take advantage of that, any opening, and it would just be, it would be mayhem. So depending on, there's a lot of layers to that onion, and I think we've got to be careful about it, because we do need to protect the game, protect the institutions, but also protect the players.
Right. And essentially it's asset protection is how I think of it, ultimately from a high level, because to me, lawsuits are inevitable. They really are. I would imagine the NCAA, the board sitting in a room with their legal counsel right there with them, and they wanted to do whatever they could to create that layer of separation between them and the university, because it doesn't make sense. To me, it's a matter of, okay, we want to, step back as far as we can so that we're not held liable. So they have these different so-called NIL collectives that are acting as basically separate entities around the United States, and they can basically, like, what are the governing rules? They can operate how they want, and then you have like Caden Proctor go to Iowa, take advantage of some of the whatever money, so it's so many layers to it. I think the NCAA is really just getting started. I don't think they even seen like the crux of it, but I think Hannah, you had something.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off this, Wesley, because I think it's an interesting dynamic. This conversation, and I'll say this as someone like yourself who is now married to someone in political power. I think it's important to note that something that, and I've said this every episode, that it's not the concept, it's the lack of boundaries, rules, and structure that we're putting into place. So, I mean, it's kind of like legislation, right? You don't just throw something out there without thinking it through, without thinking of every possible, amendment or whatever you want to put to something to make sure it's perfect before you put it out in the public. That's what NCAA hasn't done.
Right.
Well, last night I was on the Bama Standard with EJ Jr., and we were talking about, what would Bear Bryant have done with the transfer portal and recruiting? And I mentioned that, I think Bear Bryant would have talked to the mamas and said, listen, your son's going to get a good education as well. So how do we, because you said that yourself, country boy getting a scholarship to play for the Alabama Crimson Tide, you also got an education. So, right now I feel like that's kind of just thrown the back burner. Kids are about money and things they can see now. I mean, let's just be honest. Our lives, we all remember, but some of these younger kids don't. They don't know life without Amazon Prime. I mean, I remember when my mom would order something in a catalog and mail that joker off, and we may get that in 6 months and we'd forgot we ordered it, right?
Yeah.
But these days, it's always instant gratification. So how can we do both? Let these kids embrace this lifestyle of getting what they deserve and having money with structure, boundaries, and rules. But also, how do we remind this young generation that an education is just as important as financial residual income that these kids are going to get? Because, and I said this last night, I'll say it again, you're not guaranteed a long NFL career. Some of these kids won't even make it. I mean, you've endured an injury. Thankfully, you came back from it, but some kids don't. So how can we do a better job of, recruiting with also pitching not only a longevity of, the next level, going to the NFL, but also getting a good education?
Right. And the education is invaluable. I say that, but there is a price of it. It's called tuition and room and board. And I think that's, that is payment, in my opinion. I mean, that's what, if you don't play, it comes out of your pocket unless you're on scholarship for academics. So I think that is a form of payment, which is another, and I think you bring up a huge issue, a hole in it too. Whenever you look at, once you become an employee, if you ever do that relationship, some of the non-revenue generating sports, all of a sudden they're some type of employee and they're getting, if they're going to Stanford, $100,000 a year tuition, that they would have to pay taxes on.
Yeah.
That they would have to pay taxes on if it's an employee relationship. So that would be something that would definitely have to be considered. And then Coach Bryant too. Now, don't forget, a lot of the NCAA the NCAA rules were put in place because Coach Bryant wanted to do more for his players.
Sure.
Is because they didn't like that they had red phones, and Bryant Hall was never a nice dorm. It was a nice dorm for the time, but it was still long twin beds. That I think when they went in with the NCAA with shared showers and everything, it's not like the dorms, these Taj Mahal things they have now. But Coach Bryant also he started and funded the scholarships so that any player that played for him, their children would go to the University of Alabama for free. Not for free. I say free, but they put in the work to earn that. Yeah. And that was something Coach Bryant did. You hear when you go back and you start talking to like some of these OGs that played that really made the program what it is, like Coach Bryant invested in their businesses, in their startup. He helped them pay for law school, helped them pay for to go to medical school. My uncle played for him. My wife's uncle paid for him, and he was always there for them. He helped John Cruel start the Big Oak Ranch. He made investments in his players. That all of a sudden became illegal, which is just a shame. We have the A Club Educational Foundation where we've been able to help a little bit, and it's still money from Coach Bryant that he donated that Paul Bryant Jr. donated as well. That's the money that we still use, because for a long period of time the NCAA wouldn't let us fundraise for that fund. So it was just the interest income off that egg that the Bryant family put in. I mean, because they cared about their team. They cared about the players. They wanted the best for their players, whatever it was in life, not just winning football games, but winning at life. And, when you look at those old school coaches like that with Coach Bryant, Joe Paul, Bowden, I mean, some real greats that you hear stories from their players about how much they love and care for them. And Nick Saban, I would put him in that same boat, and I think he's right there along it. Dabo Sweeney is a guy that cares deeply for his players as people, but that is few and far in between. Most of the coaches, they're good people, but they had one mission, and it was to win football games.
Sure,
it was to win football games that I played for. And that most people I played for in the NFL, their coaches, other than the LSU guys that I played with that played for Nick Saban, they didn't see their college coaches as somebody like a Joe Paul or like a Coach Bryant who really wanted the best for them in life. And so it's just a different day and age that things have evolved so fast and so far that now if they're not taking care of themselves, nobody else is.
That's right.
For the most part, there are exceptions. For the most part, and I think the University of Alabama is an exception to that rule because of our alumni base and we care. But and the love and passion for the people, for the players and everything. But we're just one school, and there's a lot. There's a lot of other teams, a lot of the players that don't have that.
Agreed. And then Dan, I think you had a final question for Wesley, and you're on mute.
I'm sorry, we can't have you on here and not have you talk about the new administration that we have, the new coaching staff, and to get your thoughts on the job that Coach DeBoer has done, and particularly, the offensive line, and what improvements or changes would you like to see from last year?
Less sacks. Yeah, less sacks and just dominating I think just an unbelievable talented offensive line we had last year. I think DeBoer coming in, I guess backing up and breaking that down. I think DeBoer is doing a phenomenal job. Yeah. I've had a chance to meet him a couple of times at events where he's going out and just recruiting and getting on the trail and meeting with alumni and donors. And his passion for the game, his passion for the kids is evident. I think he gets this new style, some of the changes, and is adapting some of the things that that some of the more experienced coaches would not like and don't agree with the NIL transfer portals and the new the mentality of some of this generation. Not saying it's good or bad, but it's different. Mm-hmm. It's different. You can't just yell at these kids these days and get them to respond. You can't, they're incentivized differently. Even with my kids and their friends and coaching little leagues. And so I think he gets that. He has a general manager. He's the first coach that I know of in college that actually started that general manager role to actually handle the NIL portal. And I think that's what you got to go to, the more of that professional type sports, because it's about players, constantly recruiting players, but you also have to constantly recruit your players that you have on the team. I mean, you got to stay on top of them, make sure they're loving, make sure they're happy, because they got choices. Dan, we didn't have choices, and so they have choices. So I think he's staying on and he's recruiting. I think he's done well in the portal. As far as the coaching staff, I'm excited about our both coordinators. Really excited about Kane Womack. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I hear different people talk about him, but the people who know him, you like it, Hannah. You like him?
I do.
Yeah, I'm pumped about him. I think he's gonna be great for Alabama as a program, as a state. I like his mentality. I like what people down in Mobile that have worked with him on donor level or at South Alabama love him. Think the world of him. Everything I've heard from people who actually know him is phenomenal. So I can't wait to see what that does. You got Sheridan, offense coordinator, comes in with big hopes. Then our offensive line coach. I was really excited about the offensive line coach till he went to Seattle. and then now I just don't know. I don't know. What is it?
Chris Kaplivic.
Kaplivic. Mm-hmm. I'd say I'm afraid to even say his name. I guess, Coach Kaplivic. But Coach Kaplivic, and he did great at Michigan State. And he has a pretty good track record. He's got some talent. He's got some talent coming back. Booker and Pritchard, two good returning starters that we have. Big guys. This system's a little different. With DeBoer's on, he's gonna run a screen pass. I think it was like 12 or 13% of the time he runs screens. And so these offensive line got to move.
Yeah, I would think.
Cool. So
I'm happy.
Exactly.
They got to be quick on their feet. I think our offensive line last year was designed for Georgia's big defensive linemen. They're coming downhill at you. Mm-hmm. And our big hosses just got out there and dominated Georgia because they were bigger and stronger. But that short space quickness, we just got taken to task against Michigan. And I think we got exposed in that respect. Now, size, you can be big and quick, but you just got to find that right size. I'm not saying that Booker at 352 needs to be 330, because I couldn't say that without seeing his body mass index, all the different, his speed and agilities numbers. He may already be there. I don't know, but we're
big boy.
Boy, I mean, we averaged 337 last year up front. It was just huge.
Insane.
He's a runt compared to
I know
Proctor,
yeah.
Proctor's legs like tree trunks. I mean, it's crazy. But he still did struggle with short space quickness.
Yeah.
You got a guy like Dwight Freeney or somebody lined up against him. I think Dwight Freeney or like a Mathis or those old school defensive linemen that were running 4.4s, 4.3s, defensive ends that are weighing 220 pounds. Yeah. I mean, we'll see if he can block them at some point, but I don't like his odds against those guys at this point in his career. Now he's young and he can still he's got some incredibly gifted, and he'll continue to improve. But I like this. I like the two. I like the center that we got, the transfer in Parker
Brailsford out of Washington. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at you, Sishu.
Yeah,
and he is he is really, really talented, heralded top drafts, high ranked on draft boards. And so I think we'll see more and more of him play. I think is it still a battle to him and Brockenmeyer?
No,
Brockenmeyer's a TCU.
Oh, Brock's okay. Yeah, that's right. So both of them went to both of them left?
No.
Parker.
James and Tommy left. Yeah. To go to TCU. Tommy's no longer playing. He's medically retired.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Oh, Tommy, I forgot about that.
So but Parker's 275. I mean, a little guy. I say little guy, right?
Yeah.
But that's prototype. I mean, you the NFL, some of these centers are they're smart and they can move and good short space quickness, and because they always have a double team, they always have a big guard on their hip. So that helps. I think they'll do a good job, but I think there's still a lot of unknown. They look good. Going back and watching our spring game, the 8A game, they looked really good. I was surprised how developed they were for this time of the year with a new head coach. Really good in the run game.
And speaking of which, I'm glad you mentioned the 8A game, Wesley. I want to get your thoughts on, of course, your former offensive tackle. I wanted to get your thoughts on one of our players, offensive guard, Jaden Roberts. Now, this guy, he's probably one of my favorite on the team, but, he had some really good games last year. It's kind of like his debut last year. We're expecting to see great things from him this season, but I wanted to get your buy-in. Are you pretty familiar with his playing style or any thoughts?
Yeah, I like watching him play. I think I do. He kind of reminds me like the size and stature to where I was. He's like 316. I was a little heavier, but a little bit taller. But he seems to he likes to be nasty.
Yeah, lean.
He's lean. He is. It's unbelievable. Yeah. But he does have a mean streak to him, and I like.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
He's long. He's got long arms. Keep the defenders off of him.
Mm-hmm.
I think his upside is incredible. He seems like he has really good short space quickness. His hands, he's got to develop his hands somewhat. His hand placement and the interior hand games that they can play. He's got to continue to work on that and develop that, and that can come. But it's just going to take reps. Yeah, I think he's got tremendous upside, and I look forward to seeing him on the field.
Yeah,
man, can you imagine? You're a defensive back, and you got a screen, and you got Tyler Booker and Jaden Roberts pulling out on you, man. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah,
you run back to that locker room. You get back on that bus.
I know. You just dive at their hip, dive at their knees, and just hope to make a big mess. But that's the thing is like we got to make sure that these guys can get out there. I had an offensive line coach, Dante Scarnecchia at New England. He used to say, if the big guys that look like a pig running on ice when they try to turn and block some of these smaller DBs. But you can't cut block anymore, so you got to be athletic when you get out there, or they'll just run right by you.
Right.
Exactly. And we can always ask these Auburn fans that's in the chat. I'm sure they remember that 4th and 31, and kind of how our offensive line, kind of held their defensive line. They're still crying about that. So, I think Hannah, you had you wanted to piggyback off of that.
Well, can I make one comment and ask another question? Because this is very intriguing to me. So I want to say that something about Coach K, which, I think is something we've lacked in the last couple of years, is he is a fundamentals coach. And I've said from the beginning, something Alabama used to be so great on. And I feel like, I know that's one reason Nick Saban retired was a constant turnover and coaches wanted to come in. How long are you going to be here? But for me, I miss the good old days when we were we tackled and we didn't do those stupid one-arm reads, trying to, you can tackle and try to strip the ball at the same time. But doing these half rear end, there's not going to work. So for me to have an offensive line coach who's going to get back to the fundamentals of blocking, of being quick on their feet, of footwork, that was a big thing for us too. And snap count and all these things is going to be exciting. But, you made a comment and I want to kind of transition and we can come back to this. But, you mentioned New England and obviously you ended up there. But a lot of people have been talking about this last couple of years is Mac Jones, right? A guy who, had a very, I think, amazing career at Alabama. I mean, he chose to stay. He could have entered the transfer portal. He didn't. He stayed. He learned. He got his time to shine. He made the NFL. And he kind of had a lot of change going on in New England. But, I want to get your perspective on that because, it's so interesting to see a guy who went from getting awards his rookie year to being benched by someone who is his identical twin, right? So for me, he's now back home behind Trevor Lawrence, but kind of your idea on what happened, who's at fault, and just I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. You think it's more of like the constant coaching change? They weren't really behind Mac, or I mean, what do you think happened there?
Hannah, that's a great question, but I think the coaching change, I'm sure that did impact somewhat. But the NFL is a tough job. It's you can't complain about it because you complain about it because you make so much money. Sure. But nobody wants to hear you complain when you're making that kind of money. But you're literally pushed to your mental and physical limits every single day, and so you have a lot of ups and downs. So I think the biggest issue, and this is me without talking to Mac, and I love and respect Mac, and what all he's done and what all he'll continue to do. But I think he's a great person. But he had a turnover. He had Josh McDaniels there his first year. Josh McDaniels is a quarterback's coach. Josh leaves, and Josh McDaniels was at New England whenever I was there for 4 years. He left my last year at New England and took the job at Denver. And him going to the Raiders, he has that just quarterback cocky type mentality, and just always I think he's an emotional leader, psychological leader in the film room, and I think that was just me not being there, but knowing a lot of the characters and the dynamics. I think Josh McDaniels leaving really played a huge part in the way that Mac Jones played 1 year versus the second. I think the psychological aspects to it, in the coach and the consistency, because I saw that with like Matt Castle. Of course, Tom Brady was at a different level, but I saw that with Matt Castle as well. Who was backing up and got a lot of playing time as well, with the difference between having Josh there and not. I think when Josh McDaniels there, you can't help but believe in yourself. Sure. Because he believes in you. And the way he does it is it's unique. He's a great quarterback coach and a great person to have in the locker room, in the film room with you. I think that was the biggest factor that played in that without knowing everything.
Sure.
Yeah, agreed. And I wanted to quickly just pivot a little bit just to give a shout out to our other sponsor, Whitwell Sports. So we wanted to quickly shout them out. They're a great partner. We've been working with them for quite some time now here at the Bama Standard Network. And so your game day is not the same without a title towel. We always tell you all that. And hopefully most of you have gotten yours so far. If you haven't, be sure to get it before the season starts. But be sure to visit whitwellsports.com to order yours today and use promo code STANDARD for an exclusive discount. And really quickly, because we had some big news actually over the last few days regarding transfers, and I think it's a good segue, being that Dan is our lead recruiting analyst, and I think he can maybe piggyback off of it a little bit with you, Wesley. But we did pick up King Mack, a safety out of Penn State last week, but we also got a offensive lineman from Michigan State, Gino Vandemark. And so I wanted, and I think it's interesting with Gino, the offensive lineman, because he already had a relationship with our O-line coach, Chris Kaplovic. So I wanted to kind of bring that up because I think it's huge. We may not be hearing a lot of people talk about it, but I think with Gino having that pre-established relationship with our offensive line, coach, I think that's a big thing. And we were just talking about last week on the show that one of the things that we need to do is strengthen or get more depth at that O-line, group. I think that the O-line and then also maybe the secondary a little bit as far as the cornerbacks. But Dan, I'm going to toss it to you if you had anything in specific as we almost near that 10-minute remaining mark. But we wanted to make sure that we cover everything while we have you, Wesley. So we really appreciate your time. And you're on mute again, Dan. So I mean, he's just so excited that he.
But huge pickup with both King Matt. You know, he brings position versatility in the back end of the defense. You know, 5'10", but he's excellent in run support. You know, he has 3 years of eligibility left. You know, I love the move, but I think a bigger move was getting Geno Vandermark. You know, because of his ability, he could play all three positions along the interior, and he allows us to have depth as well as competition on the interior. You know, I think we're pretty set with Jaden and Tyler Booker at the guards. You know, that's a given. You know, Parker Brailsford, you know, and we lost James Brockemeyer, so we had to get an experienced backup center. You know, you don't want to have someone go down, because one of those guys that go down, you know, we don't have the experience there. You know, Geno Vandermark, you know, a guy that knows the system, you know, that was a huge, tremendous pickup.
Agreed. And so I guess we'll finish off. You mentioned A-Day, Wesley, and so I wanted to get your. I've been keeping that in the back of my mind because I wanted to kind of go right back to that before we let you go. But I wanted to get your take on. I know we didn't see, of course, you know, our guys in full action, but how do you feel so far as like just where we are? I know that we said before the show started that we kind of saw more out of the offense versus the defense, but I mean, do you feel like we kind of have all those missing puzzle pieces going into this upcoming season? You know, if by chance any of the coaches may be watching right now, is there any message that you would have for them or for any of the current players?
Run the ball. If anybody's watching, you know, run the ball. Like you said, get back to the basics, the little things. That's one thing that we did before practice every day with Belichick, with Bill Belichick, Dante Scarnecchia, the New England Patriots. We'd take 20, 30 minutes and just do first steps. Go through our first steps on various plays. The little things make all the difference. I think that's going to be the biggest issue. And I think that was the thing that killed me the most last year watching is the little things. It was offensive linemen stepping under themselves instead of gaining ground on their first step on zone runs. It's taking lateral steps instead of moving forward. Those things get you beat. You know, those things make a big difference when you're playing other elite players. Now, our players, because they are elite, every single one of them on the team is a leader. They wouldn't be there. Now, I think they'll be able to overcompensate for most players, but when you're playing the Michigans and the Georgias, you got to get everything right. And it goes back to little things. I think, you know, and to go back to a point that you made earlier, Cece and Dan too, you alluded to some of the players coming over that have known these coaches and the way that their calls on the field. That's going to be a big positive for the offseason, because the coaches in college football, you don't get much time with your coaches during the offseason outside of the strength and conditioning coach. They have very strict limits. Now you can go voluntarily to their offices and talk to them, but they can't watch you practice. They can't leave practice. But if they have a player that's played with them and knows their terminologies, knows the system, they can essentially lead practices in the indoor facilities, in the outdoor facilities during the off season, so that everybody gets familiar with it. That's going to be a huge leg up. I think and it's something, it's hard to quantify what that means. Hannah, what do you think about that?
Well, Steve, get you some comment. I just wanted to say that one of the most interesting things for me when you look at the last, you know, maybe 5-7 years at Alabama is we've alternated. We've either been a throwing team or we've been a running team, right? You went from having pro style quarterbacks to having dual threat quarterbacks, and everything's changed. But I'll say the most, I think, dynamic team we've had was under Mac Jones, because under Tua and under Bryce, we were a dominant throwing team, but we were not good doing both. Mac Jones was a guy who had 3, you know, first round draft picks, you know, in the NFL that he threw to, while also having Najee Harris behind him, who is also a stellar running back in the NFL. So for me, if we can get back to not only running the ball, but we can do both well and execute them well, because that's one reason why we won the national championship that year, was because teams didn't know what they were getting. I mean, Mac would drop back, and you think, oh, he's going deep, and he would hand off to Najee, and we'd get 13 yards. So for me, it's being able to do both, but doing both well and unexpectedly. That's what I miss, and that's what I hope we can do this year.
Like that 2010 team. Was it that 2010?
What, 2011?
2011?
Which one?
The Orange Bowl when we beat Notre Dame.
2012. We beat them 2012.
That was incredible. That big offensive line we had there just ran over people.
What they used to call it, behold the great wall of hell. No.
And they were. And they had great
They were.
Pendry was the coach. Offensive line coach Pendry. I mean, he had those guys right. Those players were playing. And they were a dual threat too.
Yeah.
And remember when Derrick Henry won the Heisman.
Yeah.
The reason, he was up against Baker Mayfield, and I was doing sports radio then, and people bashed me. I was like, he's going to win the Heisman. They're like, no, he's not. I'm like, listen, he's the only player that gets the ball every single play, and teams still can't stop him. He would run it and run it and run it, and just like now in the NFL, teams can't stop him. So for me, if we can get back to being that team, that's what we need. We need our offense. Our defense needs rest. Our offense needs to run the ball, exhaust the defense, and then their teams make stupid, penalties and make stupid choices, and we capitalize off that. So there are just so many things we don't do anymore. And I think fundamentals and having those coaches come back, to that ideal of, idealistic view of fundamentals can help us win a national championship, because what we got last year wasn't enough.
Agreed. All right. Well, I know that we are nearing the end, but before we drop, we do have another show, and I know a lot of our current viewers who are on right now, you're familiar with it now, but our newest show that comes on every Saturday nights Talking Bama with JB, Josh Tucker, and Chris Beam. It will be airing this Saturday night at 8:30 Central Standard Time. We will not be having Teague's Take tonight, so we're your awesome show for tonight, and then hopefully Teague's Take will be back next week. Now, I wanted to ask you, Wesley, and it's been an honor to have you on tonight. I just love the energy that you bring, and you're one of the legends. Of course, everybody remembers you, and so it's just awesome not just to hear about your experience at Alabama, but just your take in it as far as what you see moving forward. I think that some of the information that you provided regarding the transfer portal, the NIL, just from a perspective of how can we make it better. Hopefully the NCAA actually listens to you. I don't know who they have in their ear, but I think they're going to have a lot of people in their ears soon if they don't clean this stuff up. But I really want to thank you. And Dan, I saw that you unmuted. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Oh, no.
Okay, cool. Because you've been on mute on. Yeah. I want to make sure you got it right this time.
Touchscreen monitor. You know what I'm saying? I keep forgetting.
Oh, okay. Look at you. You upgraded.
Okay. Fancy over here.
I know. No, but it's been
my background.
Exactly. No, but it's been great having you, Wesley. Do you have any social media where the viewers can find you?
I do. I have a Twitter, and it's Wesley Britt. At all of them. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm not, but so just keep it simple. All the offensive lineman style.
No, that makes sense. No, well, it's been an honor to have you here. We'll definitely have to have you back before the season starts, and we appreciate you joining. Roll Tide.
Thank you.
Roll Tide.
It's been awesome. Y'all kill it.
We got to. But see, that's a part of the Bama standard, right? Like, you don't get on these people's internet and not kill it. Like, otherwise, just
there's a reason there's no Auburn sports broadcast, because they have nothing to talk about.
They have nothing, so they come here. Like, they have no voice. I know.
And you're doing it.
Exactly. Exactly. No, thank you. Take care. Roll Tide. And also, so we have a few minutes left. I kind of wanted to mention something, and I know that Hannah and Dan, y'all have been keeping up with this as well, but just in the spring, since A-Day, we've picked up 6 guys. Of course, we got Caden Proctor back. We got the kicker transferring in, Graham Nicholson, the DB Cameron Howard.
Not just any kicker.
I know. He outbeat Will Riker, didn't he?
Right.
I mean, this is crazy. Hannah? Softball. Yeah, we'll talk.
I was letting y'all talk for a minute.
You know what? Because what I might do, and I've been trying not to look at the live chat, because I know that Chris.
It's Chris Williams. I'm just ignoring him. But
because they don't have, how like when we talk about the glory days, like you'll hear people talk about, they have none.
They have the glory day, one day.
The one day. they say, what do Alabama fans and I guess a maggot, I don't know what they call it, have in common? I'm like, what? They're like, they live off a dead bear for so long. But you know what?
What?
I know.
That's disrespectful. Surely they're not saying that because
let me tell you this. The only reason we see that stupid kick six over and over and over is that's the only good highlight.
Because CBS they are raggedy. They have nothing else to show.
Highlight CBS has. What have they done since 2010? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
You know what? They didn't win the game. We lost that game because we decided to kick a field goal with a kicker who could not kick it. No, if it would have been Will Reichard, it would have been through the uprights. It would have been perfect. We would have won that game. But you know what? We didn't have that kicker then.
But the bottom line, Hannah, is everything that they do is a failure. So even with that kick six, it amounted to nothing because a couple weeks later, and I'm going to keep talking about it, and somebody can call up the SEC network and everybody else that want to keep showing that little raggedy play every time we have this little Iron Bowl game. That's a waste of time because we know what the outcome is going to be. Every time they show that commercial, go ahead and show what happened right after they lost to Florida State in the Natty. So my thing is like, you
Jameis
still
crab leg eating Winston.
I know, like,
Jameis Winston.
Hey, but what else would they have to show during Auburn takeover week? They would have nothing else to show. They would have nothing to show. Literally.
They got nothing.
It's pathetic. It's really pathetic.
The last two, have our games been close in Jordan here? Yeah, I understand that, but we still won. It doesn't matter. A win's a win. And you know what? I think 4th and 31 takes over kick anytime because the look on those Auburn fans' faces when Isaiah Bond caught that pass was like worth it all. Like worth it all. And you know what? I'll tell you this too. Y'all don't know. This was me. I don't think I had that sign in here, but this was me in college. I was the UA sign girl. Okay. And I want people to know that I was at that game. That was my senior year. And no, that wasn't my senior year, the kick. Yeah, that wasn't my senior. I don't know what year it was. Anyway, we won too many games. Okay. I went to too many games. But point is CBS always put that camera in my face. So I knew if we lost that game to turn my rear end around, and I did, because I was like, I won't be caught with the one of like the sad fans were sad, like the upset. So I turned around and they got my booty on camera, but they didn't get my face. So I'll just say that. They can, you know what. But is it okay for me to talk about softball real quick?
Go ahead.
All right. So I'll be honest, even as a Bama fan, I know it's because no team was good enough to take a regional from us, but in all honesty, we should not have even gotten a regional. I am so nervous and embarrassed at the same time. I'm just going to tell you this. Patrick Murphy's going to have to pull something out of both shoes for us to get a victory because Clemson is going to be the team that we have to beat, okay? Clemson is the team that has done well against SEC teams this year. Had they lost some games against Tennessee and South Carolina? Yes, but they were close. Our games against South Carolina and Tennessee were not close. So I'm worried about Clemson. I'm worried that this is going to be the first time in Murphy's career that we do not make it out of a regional. Most years we've hosted a super regional as well as the regional. And I'm going to be honest. I've said this before. We're going to have to get a coaching. We're going to have to get either a new coach or we're going to have to get some power hitters and a hitting coach. But besides that, part of me actually doesn't want to make it to Oklahoma City because I don't want to be embarrassed and get taken out. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but it is the most distraught season I've had with softball. And I've said this before too. I never thought we would see a day where our baseball team is better than our softball team. And here we are in 2024. I don't know what's happened, but we've got great pitching. We're great with pitching, but that's all we've got going for us. I'm telling you what, right now, every once in a while, a blind squirrel can find a nut, and I'm hoping that somehow we find a win and we somehow win this regional. And I don't know, but yeah, that's it. I don't know what's going to happen, but maybe by the grace of God, one of these girls can just power hit the ball and get us some points on the board because this ain't golf. You don't want a low number. You want a high number. And we see right now.
And you mentioned something. So we don't want to go to the regionals because we don't want to be embarrassed, right? We are not delusional. We're not in denial. That's the problem with these raggedy Auburn people. And that's what really disgusts me the most with them because they just want a spot. They know that they're one of the worst teams in the country, but they just want a spot. And my thing is like at some point, your pride has to take over, and you have to be real about it and say, because like they say, where there's no pride, there's no shame. And so you have like these raggedy Auburn fans in the chat that, you know, they just want to be a part of the discussion, no matter the fact that they're going to fail, because that's their standard. So we have, what did Chris say? Excuse me, but no, ma'am, returning a missed field goal for a touchdown to win the game and beat the number one team in the country trumps anything you could do. Sir, you could never. After will never reach a level of success that we have. And let me tell you something. Like, she went home with her after that game because Alabama took a spanking that night. Sir, the only spanking that's getting handed out is the ones that y'all been taking for these last how many years? Like, y'all are the ultimate, you are the epitome of failure. Like, y'all, it's so sad that y'all have to come on our, and we appreciate the viewership. I mean, of course, we love that, but it's just so sad that you literally have nothing to talk about. You can't even start a free channel on YouTube and talk about Auburn football because there's something to talk about. Like, it's that bad.
Stores can't even sell their shirts on clearance rack. I mean, they have to give them away. It's still one, still them all. I mean,
like they're literally like their merchandise is free. Their football games are free. Like, what? Like, it's disgusting. Like, y'all don't even have it. Like, come on now. At some point, you have to be real. Like, I personally,
the most expensive item in Auburn's toilet paper, and there's plenty of those.
The only way an Auburn t-shirt to sell, the AU t-shirt, is you put an F in front of it. That's the only way to sell.
Put a capital F. And Justin, FYI, since Chris is, you know, he likes to be so loud in the chat, we are going to have Linda on as a guest next week. So we'll see if you got all that mouth. And like we said last week, you're more than welcome to come on this show, Chris. But see, the thing about these big mouth Auburn fans is that, like they say, the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. So I'm pretty sure you would want to come on this show. Now, look, the invitation is open. We would love to have you on. You could sit here and we can talk facts. You know, if you want to talk about some of these imaginary wins that Auburn has had, these so-called notable games. Or what you mean? You lose to Georgia every time you play them. You're going to lose to Texas, anybody else. You lose to Alabama. Like, it's literally like y'all have a track record of failure. Like, I guess the part of me that believes in being honest, you know, the integrity, having integrity, I'm trying to figure out, like, this is pure deception. Like, are you Satan? Like, is this Satan that we up here talking to? I mean, I just don't understand, because it's pure deception. You know, like, it's reached an utter level of just raggedation. I don't know if that's a word, but it's going to be one tonight. But it's just disgusting, Hannah. Like, I went completely off last week, Hannah, after you left, because he could not be quiet. Like, we had to remind him of his place, which you have none. This is the grown folks conversation. This is where the winners sit. Like, of course, they're not a part of that, but you know.
Do you remember, like, in elementary school when there was that boy that, like, was so annoying to all the girls and so mean to them? It's because they didn't know how to express, you know, gratitude or I think Chris likes Linda, and maybe you and me. I have no idea, but he's just a desperate little man that maybe is 2 feet tall, that just, you know, has no room to grow. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, I will say this, and I've thought about this since last week. I can name 100,000 things I would rather do and rather be than being an Auburn fan. I mean, I would probably put every other SEC school, and Tennessee's right above Auburn. I mean, they're right there. They're sitting close. You know, they both look like dumpster schools. But, you know, I have told my mom, and they came over for Mother's Day, and I said, you know what, Mom? I said, first off, thank you for letting me grow up in a Christian home where I came to know the Lord. But also, thank you for raising me to be an Alabama fan, because if you would have raised me to be an Auburn fan and I would have come to my senses, I never would have spoken to you again.
I would have been mad.
Growing up in Auburn, I mean, and this is the thing, you don't have to be like, you know, it's like this. You can become an Alabama fan. You can come out of that closet, out of being Auburn, and just walk away from that. Just walk away, you know, just say, not today, Satan, and just walk in the light. Walk in the light, walk in the riches of championships, because, you know, I mean, less is not more. Y'all have got less.
You got other choices beside Auburn. You know what I mean? You got UAB.
Alabama.
Yeah, Troy.
Calhoun Community College. I don't care.
They could go to AUM. Like, that's lifelong therapy.
Grand Canyon University.
Now. Exactly. Like, sir, you have no reason to be proud. You should be the quietest one. You shouldn't even let us know that you're watching. Like, you should be that quiet. Like, silence of the lambs, because you have nothing of value to talk about when it comes to Auburn. Like, y'all be the main ones walking down the street with them dusty sweatshirts. I get so tired of I know I talk about these great sweatshirts because I keep seeing them, and I'm just like, I mean, surely people aren't spending money on it. Like, it's not that valuable at all.
I mean, no one even wears a 2010 national championship shirt anymore because no one can fit it anymore. It's been 14 years. I mean, just think about it. There are literally Auburn fans that are either 14, like these children have never seen a national championship. You can't tell me these Alabama, I mean, most kids have seen Alabama win a national championship. 14 years. They are in the desert. They've been in the desert. 2 national championships is all they have of all time.
Right.
And you know what the insane thing is? Auburn basketball can no longer flaunt their Final Four, their Final Four tournament appearance because we got to go there too. And you know what? They may have won the SEC tournament, but you know what? You choked when it mattered. So that's all I got to say.
Well, they always do, because that's who they are. Like, they're like I said, they're the epitome of failure. If you want to understand what not to do when it comes to the game of football, look at Auburn.
Chris,
look at their film. They don't remind y'all of like a pack of like blueberries or something out there on there. Like, I'm just trying to equate like what I see when I look at them out there, like soft like blueberries. The jersey color, it's like almost like that same raggedy like blue, like that ashy, like it's so gross. It's disgusting. And the fact that they're going to be in Tuscaloosa this year for Auburn, like for the Iron Bowl, like just imagine them walking off that bus looking like they belong, and then the fans come in, they get shipped in on all these buses and they, we're going to set up some tents on the quad. Excuse me, this is where winners belong. They should have no space on that quad to set up any type of tailgating. They need to stay right down there. We don't need that.
I ain't coming down to your nasty old ghetto raggedy trailer park. I ain't doing it. I ain't coming down there. I'm sorry. If I would rather go to prison than come to Auburn. Just saying. Actually, I probably would because we're both the same.
Auburn is prison.
We're both the same. But if you listen, Chris, let me just make this as simple as possible. All right. I despise Auburn as much as I literally, I don't know how to put it nicely. Like,
you can't. Like, it's not even, YouTube would take this video down if we really say how we feel.
Yeah, like we would be blocked. I may actually get arrested for violence, verbal violence, on how passionate I am in this, because you will not. I mean, I don't even know the last time I went to Auburn, and I have been offered 2 Iron Bowl, like the last 2 Iron Bowls at Jordan Hare. I've been given free tickets. And you know what? My best friend's husband and their 2 children and a friend took my spot. And you know where their seats were? Second row in the corner of the end zone where Isaiah Bond called us pass. And I still said no to a free ticket because my rear end ain't going down to Auburn. It isn't. I'd rather watch it at home than go to that nasty, infested, flea-biting, cow poop smelling environment. Like, I don't. I mean, listen, the fact that y'all put children like these, the fact that y'all put students in trailer parks is mind blowing to me, because that's their future. Going to Auburn, you might as well just stay at the trailer park. That's all you're gonna do with your life. Work at the local Wally World and come home to your little trailer park.
But you wonder, like, what are they selling to people that makes them want to go? Like, to me, it's like a last resort. Ty, your comment is like, I know your comment is hilarious. Like, your daughter cried because, like I said, they're like a haunted hayride. Like, you would cry, right? You expect that. They literally are like a haunted hayride. Like, everything is just disgusting. It's broken down. It's raggedy. Like, it's of no value. People do that. They go there because there's nothing else to do, right? Like, no, ma'am. Failure is when a coach retires and the whole team transfers. What Auburn is doing, sir, you are absolutely delusional. Like, no, what the winners do, like Alabama, like the University of Alabama, not only do we get one of the best coaches in the nation that wants to come, but then we get the best recruits. Sir, Ryan Williams, the top wide receiver in the nation, he didn't didn't even want to travel to Auburn. I'm sure y'all were willing to pay him whatever he wanted. He didn't want to step his foot on that disgusting turf. What do you mean turf? You like, this is like, no one wants to be even in the city, let alone the vicinity of raggedy Auburn. Like, y'all are disgusting. Y'all couldn't even pay Ryan to even want to go visit Auburn. Like most players, they'll at least still make, a few more visits here and there. Y'all weren't even worth a visit, sir. Like, what do you mean? We got some of the best transfers coming into Alabama. And what does Auburn have? The only thing that y'all have to show for anything is the players that are leaving. Like, name one actual good transfer, good recruit that y'all have picked up. You can't name not one.
You can't get Ryan Williams.
That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all can't do anything of value. Like, y'all are the loudest ones with the worst looking merchandise, the worst looking apparel. Like, it's just, y'all are disgusting. Like, y'all should be banned from the SEC. Like, no. Mm-mm.
Man, I heard one recruit told me, he'd rather lick a cactus.
I mean, seriously, because even here, like, cactus. They're like, I mean, think about like the 4th and 31 where we're down there in Auburn. We played that game in Auburn, right? We played that in Auburn. Correct. And like, I couldn't even sit there, and like, I had to keep turning it off a little bit. Like, I had to, like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm just like, they are so gross. Like, everything about Auburn is just disgusting. And it literally, like, it infuriates me because I'm like, they have no right to be in the SEC. Like, the SEC is known as the strongest conference, and we know that hands down. But why are they here? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to get mollywopped by Alabama every single time. You're going to get stumped out by Georgia. Yeah, you're going to get stumped out by Georgia every single time. You're going to play Oregon and lose to them. Florida State can actually stump you out as well. Y'all have nothing of value to offer the SEC. Like, matter of fact, we need to bring that to the table, Hannah. We need to talk about banning them from the SEC. Like, it's time.
And it's those stupid hedges. Like, I mean, I tell you what, their stadium is the ugliest. I'll tell you what, I have been to almost every single SEC stadium, and it is like, I don't even know. Like, you think an agriculture school could have better landscaping in their stadium than daggum hedges. And you know what the best part about it is? I'll tell you what, the only thing I enjoy watching Auburn games is their stupid fans falling into the stupid hedges and getting stuck. And then, it look like the daggum Wicked Witch of the West with their feet sticking up, but like, for me, it's like, that's the best you got. Our stadium is so, when you walk in,
immaculate.
And there's two reasons. Auburn Stadium takes your breath away because of the stank and the ugliness. But you walk in Bryant Denny Stadium, your breath's taken away. And Auburn fans' breath's taken away because they have to sit at the very top of that very high stadium, Bryant Denny. They get the last 2 seats up there.
They shouldn't even get that.
No, I know. But I mean, most of them can't even afford to come up there. They can't leave their trailer park for 2 minutes and get broken into. But for me, it's like, it's so disgusting. Like, you walk in and you're like, I mean, if you got a first row seat like I had, I mean, you're about to kiss a hedge because it's like, it's right there in your face. And in Bryant Denny, you've got the beautiful way to walk around. You could walk back and forth a little bit. You could,
air conditioning.
Cheerleaders. No, in Auburn, they got those hedges. That's all they got. Hedges. And I tell you what, I mean, it is, when I went to Arkansas, when I was covering a game, their stadium was under complete renovation. It looked horrible. And I said to myself, this is still nicer than Jordan here. Still. Seats are missing. People are falling down. The concession stands are broken. And I said, it's still nicer than Jordan Hare Stadium. Still nicer.
Everything is nicer. And then shout out to Linda. Hugh Freeze installed stripper poles to replace goalposts. Chris helped. I'm sure he did. Like, I mean, that's the least. There's nothing else of value that an Auburn fan can do but help install stripper poles for the goalposts. I mean, because when you're not used to win anything, you got to tear them down, right? You got to look like you're just you're not house trained. It's just disgusting. I mean, honestly, Chris, you've done quite enough over the last few weeks, just, showing out. I understand that you're a fan of Auburn and that you want to kind of make it look like y'all got something going on, but you don't. And we all know the truth. Like, not everyone is delusional like you. Like, that's the thing when it comes to deception, is that you will believe your own lies, but not everyone else will. And so hopefully at some point you'll have that therapy session, whether it's with BetterHelp send us a check, whether it's with Greenleaf, whoever it's with, because at this point, it's like, I don't know if you need to be in Rikers. I don't know if you need to be like wherever you need to go. You need to go somewhere and get you some help.
Chris,
we need some divine intervention.
Look at him. It seems like a quite few 5 stars. Okay, listen, there ain't no 5 stars. You got a 3-star who played at Arkansas State and Northwestern State, by the way, never was offered from Alabama because he sucks that badly. Alabama didn't even want him. And, the only other team in Alabama that wanted him was UAB. So, you know what the best part about this is he only came back, or actually didn't come back. He only came to y'all because when he transferred, none of the other original schools that offered him wanted him. So congratulations for getting a 3-star bench warming player. Congratulations. May that go well for you, because it won't. But
they're gross. They're gross. Has anyone checked their website to see if they have a season this year?
Do they have a website?
I don't know, but y'all want to know something really funny?
That's a good question. They probably don't. They should.
And I bet Chris runs this Twitter page, because look, what is it? One of them, I think it's Auburn Athletics. No, it's not Auburn Athletics. What is it? Auburn.
You notice they never do like a virtual tour of their little raggedy stadium either. Alabama could do that, but Auburn can't. Don't nobody want to see them all run down, raggedy bleachers.
Look, Auburn Tigers. Look,
they blocked you.
Yeah, they blocked me. I live rent free in their head.
No, why?
So disgusting.
You mollywopped them.
They got mollywop, right? I mean, that's like the epitome of getting stumped out. Like, that's exactly what y'all deserve, Chris. Like, when we play y'all, just know, like that little pack of blueberries that y'all see out there. Like, imagine how our players feel, right? Like when we're literally looking across that line of scrimmage and we see just a bunch of little blueberries sitting out there, looking like they just deserve to play or something. Yeah, little blueberries out there. Like, it's just disgusting. Like, ew, you just have no reason to be.
Chris Williams, yes, he went to UAB, but you know what? He came to Alabama next, boy. So shut your mouth. I think you know what? You are the type of child that never got a spanking and a whipping from their mama, and it shows. It shows. You did not get enough whippings in your life because you clearly are lacking some sense.
Yeah,
he needed to just put some tissue on his head and flush himself since he had a problem going down.
Let's dap it with a little water. Make it stick a little bit first. Nah, he's just undisciplined, unkempt, just ghetto. He's just all around ghetto.
He doesn't even have a bathroom. You know what? He has to go to the outhouse in the back behind his house. That's where he uses the bathroom.
Yeah, he probably outside right now. He got no shoes
hole.
on.
Actually, nobody can afford an outhouse. He has a little hole in the backyard. He's just dug.
Right, they be tap dancing on the floor with no shoes on. That's their fight song. Look, they all open their front.
Tap out.
I know. Y'all are so gross. Like, y'all are disgusting. Honestly, like I try to be cool. That's why I say I usually try
held it in all. My heart was like this the whole time Wesley was on.
I was, you know what? When Wesley was on, I was trying not to really pay too much attention to it. I'm just like, he's gonna get it tonight. He's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. Yeah, that raggedation.
You know what, Chris? Go to the local Dollar General or Dollar Tree, whichever one you can afford, and go get you some ice because I know your rear end's a little burnt right now.
Man, Chris, boy, look here, man. I'm gonna give you credit. You show up next week, man.
Chris, show up where?
He wants to. He got to see his girlfriend Linda.
Live. You gonna get some live smoke.
You'll be the first one in the comment. Oh, hi, honey. Hi, Linda.
I know, but look, if he's really about that life, he would get on too. You can turn your video as well. You're welcome. Like I said, Chris, you don't have to live life behind a computer screen and just type. You don't have to live that way. Like, you can be free. You can be free, right? Like, we're offering you the opportunity.
Oh, she'll be on the 29th. So it's in 2 weeks. Well, Chris, I'll tell you what. 29th. If you have the balls to show your face, you can be on the show next week. You can come on the show next week. You can. I would love to meet you and see the clown behind the picture of Cam Newton. So if you want to show up,
the clown,
and be on the show, you are welcome to come on.
Be quiet.
And you know what? We'll give you 4 minutes and 31 seconds.
Hide the face. Come on, turn the camera off. Just do that.
I know.
4 minutes and 31 seconds. That's all you get. But it clears to show up.
Chris, you don't even have to turn your camera on. We're sure you wouldn't anyway. You don't want us to see you inside that, wherever you live with your shoes off. We don't want to see none of that. That would be a horrible sight to see.
You got the nasty, dirty feet.
Oh my God, that sounds disgusting. Like,
you don't have to get the teeth off the nightstand to put them in either.
I know. Over there talking all that. Teeth that fell out. Mess around, your teeth that fell out. No, I mean, just let us know.
To church and
Yeah,
Chris, gonna have an excuse. I can let you know my address for church. I mean, by the time you get on your horse and wagon, it'll be next week. But you're welcome to come.
You're not about that life. You don't want that smoke. Look, I'm excited about having Linda on. We'll have to get more of the supporters on too. Like I said, Chris, the invitation is open. You quiet now. Okay, there he is. Linda, I'm gonna bring some wine.
Chris, you're a pedophile. That's what you
he is. He's
a pedophile, boy.
But you know what?
You cashing your hour at the Auburn jail. This is what this is. You get your hour of screen time every week. Come on our show. You are definitely behind bars, brother. You are a different breed of creep.
But that's what they're known for down there, though, right?
I don't know.
Boy, bye.
She did. She said, "Boy, bye." Look, I'm so excited.
That should be our shirt. They nasty, they low down, they raggedy. That should be our shirt.
Yeah. What is it?
They nasty, they low. No, they nasty, they low down, or losers. Whatever. The nasty, they loses, they raggedy.
Yeah. Well, we got to have some more shirts. Look, I see that raggedy one. A lot of people have it in their cart. So
he is not actually taking the bait. He does not want to. Typical Auburn fan. When push comes to shove, they have the opportunity to show up. They choke.
They don't. They never show up. That's why they have so many L's.
They have the opportunity to. They can't do it. They're like, you know what? Never mind. Never mind.
Exactly. They're like, well,
you know what? We're like, oh, we're so good. You know what? Never mind. We're actually not.
We just want the invitation. That's just like when you have an event and somebody just wanted to be invited. They weren't going to show up anyway, but they just want
that invite.
Yeah. Like they don't want to feel left out. That's exactly how little disgusting Auburn does. They know because they're not up to par to beat an Alabama or Georgia or an Ohio State or anybody else for that matter. I mean, maybe they'll beat Vanderbilt, maybe. I mean, but it's just, I don't know. It's just really sad. And like you said, it's not coming down to no fourth down play again. It sure is not, because it shouldn't have done that then.
Listen, we will be beating y'all so bad. The only thing, 4th and 31 is going to be 4 minutes and 31 seconds left in the first quarter for y'all to start packing your bags and leaving. Mm-hmm. It's going to be 21-0 by the end of the, midway through the first quarter. You just watch this November.
Right. Well, we'll wrap it up here. He didn't say anything about coming on. So
his internet problem. Actually, he cashed his hour out. So, he had to go do the rest of his barn chores.
Exactly. Well, do y'all have any social media or any other shows that you want to promote? Starting with you, Hannah.
Oh, goodness. All right, let's see. Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at the UA X, Twitter, whatever. I mean, they're the same thing. I mean, it's like Aunt Jemima is no longer Aunt Jemima, but I still, when you go to the grocery store, what is it now? What's that brand of pancake mix? I don't know.
Hungry
Jack. Another brand. It's another brand.
I have no idea.
What's it called?
It's Hungry Jack. I don't know.
Well, I know it's not Hungry Jack. They renamed Aunt Jemima. Anyway, Dan.
I don't know.
That's a different brand.
Krusty's. I don't know.
I'm about to Google that in a minute. Oh, Pearling Mill. Thank you, Ty Alexander. Pearling Mill. So when I go to the grocery store, I'm like, oh, I want some Aunt Jemima. It's actually Pearling Mill now. But anyway, point being, Twitter X, same thing. You can find me on that at UA Songirl. And then you can find me on Facebook at the UA Songirl. I have another sports show coming out soon called The Right Side of Sports. That'll be coming out in a couple of weeks. And yeah, super honored to be a part of the show. Love it. And you know what? I love the fact that the three of us hate Auburn so much. I do. It brings me so much joy. It does. It does.
It does. And I think that my disgust, the level of disgust that I have for Auburn, it's grown so much more with Chris. And Chris, to answer your question, did she just say that we're not up to par to beat Alabama? I sure did say that, and I would stand on that. Like, y'all know that y'all can't even come close to the level of Alabama. Like the level of excellence that we operate on in Alabama, you could never. The most you could do is aspire, and y'all need to be a little more humble because what we might just do to y'all this season, I mean, that may be our game this year against Auburn. That may just be the game that puts y'all on the chopping block to get banned out of the SEC. Like, y'all have no rights to be saying that you're an SEC school. No, you are not. You're like on the tryout team. Like I said, they need to have a conference specifically for the raggedy teams, and you would actually be the first team on there. So yes, I did say that you're not up to par to beat Alabama. Sir, come on. Y'all know what time it is.
Y'all keep talking, but I gotta go. I'll see y'all.
Yeah. Dan, any socials? Any shows?
Of course. You can catch me on Twitter at the Final Whistle Dan. Catch me on Instagram, Dan James IV. Catch me Tuesday nights right here on this very channel, the Final Whistle. Wednesday nights, every Wednesday night, right here, the Crimson Dynasty with CC and Hannah. You know, and y'all make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe. And I just really want to say something. You know, in case y'all didn't know, I'm really crazy about y'all. I'd be lying if I said, I didn't think, about y'all. Even though I don't tell y'all all the time, y'all had my heart a long, long time ago. In case
I need to pull out the violin. I thought I was going to see a tear shed. I was going to let you have your moment.
Written by the great artist, Britt Young.
Okay. And you can find me on Instagram at beauty_of_intelligence. Look, we love having y'all here. The Auburn hatred, it runs so deep. I mean, it's just, I'm sure that, we just want to just push that energy out to everyone who's watching, just get that level of hatred for Auburn up, because they literally have no seat at the table and they never will. Like, Alabama is the cream of the crop. They know that. That's why they're on our shows. That's why they're watching our games. They can tell you more about our statistics more than we can. Like, it's really disgusting, and shout out to JB. I see JB in the chat. Be sure to check out his show this Saturday night, 8:30 Central Standard Time. And we will end it here. We had to go on like a 20-minute rant just for those delusional Auburn, them deceptive, satanic, raggedy Auburn, just so that y'all know, y'all need to remember y'all place. Y'all, yeah, and y'all will forever be mollywop about Alabama, because y'all know what time it is. Like, you might as well not even show up. Like, if I were y'all, I would just vote like Florida State did. They didn't want to play Georgia. That's what y'all should start doing when it's time to play Alabama. Just don't show up. Like, opt out. See if there's a way that y'all can opt out. Like, collectively opt out, because you know that you're not going to win. Like, just don't even waste your time. Save your little white pants. They're gonna be clean anyway, because y'all ain't doing it. Y'all ain't putting in no work. Your little blueberry shirts that y'all like to wear out there. Like, no, just keep that down there in Auburn, because we don't want to see none of that. Anywho, okay, well, roll tide roll, and thank you to Wesley Britt for joining tonight. He was our guest, former offensive tackle for Alabama. Be sure to catch us here next week, same time, same place, and roll tide roll.
Roll tide. Peace up.
A-Town down.
There you go.
Who is that? Jaden Tidwell. Alabama sucks.
We got another one.
I know we don't.
Write that name down. Let me write that name down.
You must be crazy. Make sure, Jaden Tidwell, make sure you back here next Wednesday, same time, same place, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you know what? We may just actually be able to have, we ain't got no reason to be mad. All these W's, we sleeping fine at night. We sleep fine. We're the standard. I don't know who you represent, who you coming in here. Maybe that's one of Chris Little Minions. Look, y'all are still at the bottom of the barrel. You could never. Alabama is and will forever be the standard. Y'all forever going to be at the bottom watching us, just like you watching us right now. Please. Child, please. Man, Auburn better. Yeah, that's one of his little minions. Hey, Chris, we told you, bring all of them, because we know that it has to be a very depressing and disappointing, like, just to wake up in the morning and your reality is failure. Like, you already know that you're going to fail. Whatever you pursue that day, because your standard is failure, you're going to fail. Like, it's just so disgusting. Like, y'all are horrible. 4th and 31, baby. Jaden Tidwell, 4th and 31. Never forget it. Because if you got them, smoke them. Because we gonna be forever smoking, because we got all them W's. Y'all don't have them. Y'all sleeping with them L's. I'm gonna just end it there, because I'm end up saying something I probably shouldn't say. Look, y'all know what time it is. Jaden and Chris, make sure y'all back on next Wednesday, because we got that smoke. And matter of fact, the Wednesday after that, in 2 weeks, make sure y'all show up as well, because we're going to have Linda on. See, y'all do a lot of talking in them comments. Y'all not really about that life. We about that life, because we got the W's. We got something to show for. Y'all don't. We smoking on y'all pack. Nah, we forever smoking on y'all pack. We still smoking on that 4th and 31 pack. So, I mean, y'all know what time it is. Dan, look.
Oh, be here.
Look, I wish you was on earlier, Jaden, because we could have gone round. Look, bout for bout, round for round. Because these W's speak for themselves, honey. Y'all in our chat tonight. Y'all watch our games. We have no reason to watch y'all because we know y'all gonna lose. You're gonna lose to Georgia. You're gonna lose to literally everybody. Like your freaking basketball team, you lost to Yale. Your baseball team lost to Alabama State. Your football team lost to New Mexico State. Like, it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Like, you have to live a life of a troll where you stand up there in denial every single day. You know that y'all are the bottom of the barrel, but yet y'all the main ones talking. What? Like, I mean, it's really sad. It's really sad. I feel bad for y'all, actually. I mean, I feel bad for him. I don't know if you do, Dan, but
I don't feel bad for him, man. I feel bad. I felt bad for Chris and the beating.
You felt bad for him.
Now he brought another minion.
Man, bring the rest of them. Like I said, because Mollywop don't just go for Chris, because Jaden can get it too.
Y'all get it. Yo, we got a 2-for-1 special.
We do, man. Look, buy one, get one free in this. Buy one, get one free. Because we got the W's. Y'all ain't got none. Y'all ain't got no W. That's why they mad. That's why they mad.
No, Chris, I know. I don't know how you don't know him. Hell, it's only 5 fans. You had to run into him at the 8A game, at the Auburn game. I don't know.
I know. Y'all are horrible. Y'all are so disgusting. I wouldn't even want to show. Like, honestly, look, we can just go ahead and end it here because I can go all night. I can go all night with this. Like, we got the numbers, we got the W's, we got the trophies to show for it. What y'all got? I mean, what do they have? Torn down goalposts, toilet paper? Like, what do they have?
They get together and they have each other.
Holding hands, crying, singing Kumbaya. They ain't got no fight song. They ain't got no schedule next year. They don't have a website. Like, I mean, it's really pathetic. Like, look, all I'm gonna say to Chris and Jaden and the rest of y'all little minions, whoever else y'all decide to bring on this show next week and the weeks that follow, don't come to Tuscaloosa for the so-called Iron Bowl. We playing in Tuscaloosa, but do not show y'all's face. Like, y'all are not welcome in Tuscaloosa. See, in Tuscaloosa, we have a standard of winning. We have a standard of excellence. Y'all don't fit in that. You need to stay down in Auburn. Just watch your game from Auburn. Don't come to Tuscaloosa. We don't want none of that. We like to keep our excellence and our winning. We like to keep that at that high level. Don't come to Tuscaloosa. Stay right over there where you familiar with them L's, because baby, we go through that alphabet. I'm skipping right over L. I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't rock with them L's. Like, I know it's familiar to y'all. Y'all used to it by now. It ain't familiar to me. Y'all, the biggest game y'all gonna have is when y'all play Alabama, because you ain't going nowhere after that. The road ends there. Period. Well, I guess I'm done. I guess we can end it here, man. Jaden showed up at the end. I wish you would have been on earlier, Jaden, because we could have had a fun time. Like, we could have really had a fun time tonight. But maybe we'll see you next week. All right. Well,
somebody check his pulse.
I know he quiet now, man. I mean, all we got to do is just speak facts, and they're quiet. Like, that's all it takes, because they haven't done it. They have nothing to show for them even being a team. Like, every team that they have down in Auburn, it just needs to be scratched. Like, just scrap it, because they're not winning. So at some point, everything needs to come to the table. What are we gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? We're just gonna keep showing up and failing. Like, I mean, something has to be done. Y'all are horrible. Anywho, all right. Well, y'all be sure to join next week, same time, same place, and be sure to go back and watch this. I ain't quiet. I'm just seeing what y'all got to say. Look, the W's speak for themselves. I mean, the stats speak. You on our show, that says enough. You could be at somebody's Bible study tonight, sir. You're on our show. You want to learn about that Alabama Crimson Tide and these W's that we got and that we gonna continue getting, and them L's that y'all used to. Don't bring that. Do not bring that losing energy over here, sir. Like, we don't want that L that you put in there. You keep that to yourself, because we can't do nothing with it. all we know are W's over here, sir. Like, we sleeping good with our W's. Y'all stay over there with y'all L's, with y'all failure. Man, come on. Be sure to look, join on time next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central. Join on time next week, and we gonna see what you about. And look, you're welcome to come on. We know Chris ain't about that life, but you're welcome to come on the show, and then we can really have a fun time. Yeah, we have a good time. All right, well, we'll end it there. Y'all be sure to be back on next week. Hopefully they bring some more of their little minions of failure, next week, and then we can really have a good time.
A little pack of wild dogs,
I know, like them hyenas on Lion King, just wild. I know, like it's just the one, like, ew, go somewhere. Like, why are you even here? Like, you're disgusting. You look disgusting. You sound disgusting. Like, why are you even here? Like, get away from us with your fleas and ticks. Like, we literally need like some like raggedy repellent, like a spray or something, like raggedy repellent or something. We need to come up with that. I'm not a Bible study, but I'm preaching. You ain't preaching nothing, bro. Like, yeah, you ain't preaching nothing. We need some raggedy repellent though.
Need to be praying.
He need to be praying. Go ahead and pray and intercede about them L's y'all gonna be getting. I mean, you got to do that early. You got to do that before the season starts. Like them fleas, like it may be bugs on some of you mugs, but it ain't no bugs on us because we got them W's, baby. We don't do them fleas and ticks over here, sir. So y'all keep that mess over there. Like these W's, they gonna keep coming. Like, they gonna keep coming. So Anywho, all right. Well, I think Big Mouth Jaden, I think he's gone, and I think Chris is probably, y'all go ahead and pray the album wheel. Yeah, whatever. You go ahead and make sure you back on next week so we can really have a good time. Like y'all so sorry. Y'all just weak, pathetic, sorry, raggedy. Like y'all literally fit the description of raggedation. Like that's the state of being raggedy. That means that you're constantly in that state of ragged. Like it's disgusting. Dan. What we gonna do with them? I'm so tired of them.
I don't know. We'll tie them up in a room. I don't know.
I know. Like, I really want to just call up to like our athletic department and just say, look, can we just take them off our schedule? Like every time they release our schedule and I look at it, I'm just like, I just literally just have a sigh. Like, why are they on there? Like every year. And then they got to come to Tuscaloosa. Come on now. Don't come to us. Like, stay y'all little raggedy behind us where y'all at. Like, with y'all little dusty merchandise that shouldn't even be manufactured. I can't believe people are actually paying for that mess, but
Let's swap them in UAB app.
Exactly. Like, y'all are so gross. I could never imagine being a fan of a team that has just a history of just failure.
And showing nothing.
Yeah. Like, come on, you ain't got no fight song. You don't know if your mascot is a tiger or an eagle. Like
nobody can name their national championship head coaches. I mean,
and the only thing good about that 2010 national championship, the only thing that's good is that the Natty stayed in the state of Alabama for 4 years. Alabama had it 2009, Auburn 2010, Alabama 2011, and Alabama 2012. That's the only good thing. That's it. And they still riding on that. And y'all barely got that. Like y'all had to pay Cam Newton to come to Auburn just to get that. Like it's just pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Like y'all have no reason to be talking. You shouldn't even be on these people's internet. Like, I would just log out. Like I wouldn't even have a YouTube account. Like I would be quiet. Like I would be so embarrassed. Like this is what you wake up every day to live, to do, to troll because you just like, oh, I'm a fan of one of the worst schools in the nation. So I just want to run my mouth because I'm mad and I'm bitter. Sir, you need help. Like I said, better help send us a check because we got people that we could send your way today. And I'm sure it's going to be plenty more of them. Like, no, go and work out that trauma and whatever caused you to be an Auburn fan in the first place, because that's not normal, but to each his own. Anywho, so Dan, 30 minutes of ranting. Like I thought last week we went in, but
Yeah, but he was asking for it.
Yeah, he was asking for it, but now we got another one. So I really hope y'all bring more of them because because we can have a whole show on just going in and reading stats. I mean, we know y'all have no shame. You have no pride. We know that you're at the point where you've accepted your state of failure. We would never do that. We're not the same. Like we're not the same, so, but they know that.
Nothing in common.
Like just being in the state of Alabama, and even then, like, just ill. Like I said, raggedy repellent. We need some type of partnership with some type of like bug or like termite company. Like, I don't know. We just need to get something going because, raggedy repellent, like, they're just too gross for me. Last time I went to Auburn, it was well over 10 years ago, and it was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my life. Like, I was so upset with myself.
He say they never think about us, but you know, he's always on cue every show.
Yeah, one of the first ones that show up. Yeah, we know we live rent free. See, that's what happens when you have a standard of excellence. When you have all you have are W's, you just live rent free, right? Like that's why they show up here. I mean, like Jaden, you could have been anywhere else in the world right now, and you decided to join us. So, I mean, a part of me, I'm appreciative, and I would love for you to come back next week, and also bring your little raggedy Auburn friends as well. But another part of me, I kind of feel sorry for you because I know that it says a lot about just like what state you're in mentally. So, I'll be praying for you though. I'll send up a prayer for you. Yeah, y'all be sure to send out a prayer for Jaden and Chris because I think they're gonna need it.
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up on that note.
I know. Like I said, we can go all night with this because, like, look, y'all know what time it is. Anywho, well, roll tide roll. Yes, just then we need to get the Orkin man. We need to get somebody to give us some raggedy repellent, and it's going to be specifically for Auburn. We're gonna pilot it at Auburn. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. All right. Well, y'all have a great evening and roll tide roll, and we'll see you here next week.
Roll tide.
Roll tide.